We are live. What's going on, everybody? People pouring in already. Oh, that's the pregame show one. I didn't put the postgame show one in there. I'm failing already as a producer, Sprague. Failing already as a
It's
producer.
okay. I'm failing as a degenerate preseason gambler, as clearly the Warriors did not lose by more than 2.5. They won by 1 million.
Yeah. The Raiders, somebody had the Raiders covering like 17.5 or something like that. I was like,
Must have did maybe a monster tease.
Yeah, I can't imagine buying that many points, but whatever. Welcome into the Blazers. The Blazers post-game show. I can't say that legally. I don't think I can. The Jacked Ramsays post-game show where we will talk about
the Trailblazers.
But everybody's trying to pile in right now. Stephen Craig, we lost. Ant looked great. Dame had a great sequence.
Yeah, Dame was really good in that first half. And Ant, man, I think he had to be the story of the night, right?
I think he's going to carry the evening. Whether you wanted it to or not, I was going to do that. So I think we all know at this point that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny, thank you for supporting Twitter. Admin from Blazers Brazil and Twitter. Sorry for my poor language. Dude, you're fine. My English sucks. Trust me. The last thing I'm going to do is correct anybody's English. Let me give you guys a quick little roundup here as far as my English background in the sense of like writing stylistically. My editors over the years have just all said the same thing now. Do us all a favor. Stop trying to write how you think you should write and just write like you talk so it's easier to edit you.
Oh, my wife says I write too much like I talk, so it always is awful and it doesn't make any sense when I write it out. Fun fact, I tried to write something on the Blazers. I was like, I'm gonna do a blog or something like 4 or 5 years ago, and I wrote the first piece I did was like, I don't know, takeaway or something.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife read it and she didn't like say it, but she basically gave me a look like, this is awful. And I was like,
maybe you should not do this.
I think I'm just gonna talk. I'm not gonna write. I'm just gonna talk. I can't do this writing thing.
Listen, man, I love writing, but I have found that I enjoy and I'm better at doing this.
Yeah,
like I got paid a little bit to write. I got paid significantly more to go do TV stuff. So
right.
People can say what they want. I still got paid. I still got those checks cash, baby.
Hey, I started my career as a beat writer, and that lasted all of a year, and I've been doing radio for a decade. Hey, so I think I clearly knew which avenue I need to stay in.
Shout out Faces for Radio, right? Gotta love it. I said Faces too. Listen, I'm right there with you. Joey Pushki, I didn't see anything different on defense and on offense. Hope Paolo's okay. All right, so let's start grand scheme, Brandon. What was your takeaway generally from tonight's game?
Yeah.
30,000-foot view on the way down, and we'll kind of work our way through different guys.
Well, I think it's pretty clear, like, Justin Herbert's going to win a Super Bowl. It's
God, I hate you.
No. Shout out the people that helped me watch the game. That was great. I was not a quarter late, but I tuned in. I saw the Dame sequence. Amazing. I watched Ant. He was really good. You know, look, it's hard to have a whole lot of a 30,000-foot view on preseason. I said this in the pregame. Mm-hmm. I just think NBA preseason is pointless for 98% of what it is. That being said, very discouraged by the defense. Didn't see a lot of accountability on that end of the court. Obviously trying to get Nurk more involved, and that was off to a bit of a shaky start, and then kind of settled in. I mean, my biggest takeaways are Dame is Dame, and Anthony Simons looks the part of a six-man who's going to run a second unit.
So for me, defensively, while they gave up a truckload of threes, the biggest difference for me was they were scrambling. They were more active. It's just, how do I say this without...
They did scramble. I'll let you collect your thoughts, and you can.
Well, I'm trying to think of how to say this without being a complete a-hole. So
they felt like they were always like a man behind.
Yeah.
I felt like just all night. It's like, oh, I got him. No, you got him. You know what I mean? It felt like the ball would rotate. They would be rotating 3 seconds late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were
you saw
moving.
Larry Nance Jr., Anthony Simons, and Robert Covington jumping at guys late a lot.
Yeah.
So we saw early on Yusuf Nurkic pressing up high, contested a Steph Curry 3 in the corner in the first quarter. Steph left it short by like 9 feet. I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. And then immediately my reaction was, that's going to be a problem, because what followed that was the Blazers don't have anybody else who can rebound.
Nobody to rebound. Yeah.
Nobody. And that happened. The offensive rebounds tonight. The thing's all
I got it right here.
up.
I'll look it up.
Well, I copy and pasted I've got the box score right here, but when I do it, it's really bright and white. So
10-6. 10-6.
So they didn't get like murdered on the offensive glass, but I also think that, those starting units were not out there that entire time. So I wasn't too worried about it, but it's something that's in the back of my head. Like, if Portland's going to run a smaller lineup, Dame, CJ, Norm, and Cove isn't a great rebounder, if Nurk's going to press up a lot more, whether it be in the wing or the corner above the break, wherever it is, they've got to do a lot better job of rebounding as a team, which historically they don't do. It's usually like, it's not a by committee thing. It's typically been a couple of really good rebounders who secure rebounds.
Yeah.
And then a guard here or there picks them up. So wasn't thrilled with that, but I get it. One thing I did like, for everybody who's out there said it's, I'm too pessimistic. I did like a lot of this. A lot of pointing back and forth. A lot of, my bad. Hey, no, you need to be there. There was a lot more of that than historically we've seen. I don't know if it's really anything to write home about defensively. They weren't on a string. I did see them press up a little bit more and force some turnovers. But beyond that, it was not great. Comments so far. Hopefully Nance gets a bigger role next game. I didn't see anything different on defense and on offense. So Powell's okay. Same shit, different game. Blazers your toilet water.
Can I add a couple of things?
Yeah, go.
First game for Larry. He'll figure this out.
I thought he actually looked pretty well.
I think people were expecting more of an impact, just like statistically. I know what you mean by how he looked. The other thing too is, I almost think as bad or shaky as the defense was, and I know that sounds, they're being negative.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could end up being a good thing, because now Chauncey, Roy, Scott, they've got tape. They've got tape. Say, hey guys, you're missing this, you're missing that. And maybe they're a lot closer.
Hone it in a little bit better from what it was. Yeah.
Because the score looks awful. Like they had 60 going, like it didn't look great.
Well, the Warriors could have hung 75 on them in the first half. There's no doubt about that.
But I think they could be closer than we think. We think, oh, they're so far, they're awful, they're not going to. Maybe they won't, but I think this was a good thing because the coaching staff has tape for them.
I think the other part of this is one of the things that showed up was that they were really poor in transition. They did not get back. They were constantly cross-matched, mismatched, which for this team, they have to try to avoid that as much as possible, because they don't, while they can switch things, theoretically, in reality, that doesn't work. They're just too small. They aren't the Toronto Raptors, where tonight they threw out a lineup of everybody was 6'8". Mm-hmm. And they just said, all right, go for it. They threw Scotty Barnes, OG, Pascal. It was like, holy crap, that's a long team. Then you look at Portland and you're like, not nearly that.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Oh, it's PM. I really can't say I noticed an improvement with the defense. I don't think you're going to notice improvement right away. I don't think we're going to get 10 games into the season you're going to notice improvement. Like, it's going to – you're talking about two guys in Dame and CJ who are poor defenders who have been that way their entire careers. That's not going to change over. No coaching change is going to change that overnight. Now, can they get better? Yes. That is where I push back on all the coaching stuff. Changing a coach is not going to take a poor defender and make them a good or great defender. You can get passable. And that's what you're trying to build towards. Overall, offensively, they started out by trying to feed Nurk, and he was pressing to start the game. There were some disjointed possessions to start the game. It looked like a considerable effort to get into a lot of horns actions, two bigs, or in this case, Cove and Nurk at the elbows, getting into pistol action, getting into horn sets, getting into DHOs after clearing the corner. There were some things that Stotts did relatively often, but not enough really even for me. So I was glad to see that as far as like an X's and O's type thing. Pace, still not great about getting down the floor and getting into stuff. Did you think they played any faster, any slower,
No,
or did it feel a lot of the
thought
same?
I thought it looked exactly the same. I didn't think there was, and honestly, like that's my thing. We talked about that pregame. I don't. I'm sorry, man. I'm not subscribing that that's going to be different.
There's a caveat, I think, to this.
Go ahead, tell me.
And that's kind of leading into the next point. Anthony, he played faster. He got
maybe to speed up the second unit. Yeah, I could see that.
He got down the floor. There was a couple times when he was on the floor with Dame, and he was out in front of Dame, and you could tell Ant was like, "Hey, let's go." And Dame kind of gave it to him like, "All right, you want to run, young buck? Here you go." Yeah. I think that's like a little thread that you can pull on and go, okay, that's a little something. That's a little bit of a wrinkle. Before we get into everybody else, what was your impression of the additions, Zeller, Nance, and to an extent, McLemore?
Zeller was good. I liked what I saw from Zeller. Nance, I think Nance can have better games. I know what you mean. He was active. He was moving, but I think he can have a better game. McLemore, McLemore's going to be basically what he's been his entire career. Like, you're going to throw him in there. How much you going to trust him on a nightly basis?
You trust him to shoot corner threes. That's what I trust him to do.
I mean, if that's what they're going to tell him to do, then great. I hope that's what they're telling him to do. But we're going to have to wait and see. My biggest takeaway tonight, Danny, was Ant. It was, we have talked to Ant. We have talked about Ant. And we know how pivotal he is going to be to their rotation into that second unit. Because it really kind of opens things up for the way that Chauncey maybe wants to set rotations, when he wants to sub, his patterns and all that. And if Anthony's going to go out there and produce and play the way he did tonight, I think that's going to leave you with a lot of options going throughout the year. And then maybe you figure it out anyway and you get set on what your rotation patterns are anyway early, and then you're good to go. I really liked what I saw from Anthony Simons tonight. I thought he showed a lot of growth. I thought he showed a lot of maturity. You mentioned kind of, hollering at Dame, like, give me the ball. Let's go. There's a lot of experience wrapped into that kind of move, right? That's not something a 18-year-old kid coming out of IMG is going to be yelling at a Damian Lillard, but he's been there now. This is year 4. He's empowered by not only Chauncey, but by Dame and by CJ. Absolutely. He's got great relationships. They know him well, and he's been producing in practice according to all the reports. So I think that the role guys were kind of what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting Zeller to go out there and just dominate on the boards and, be the ultimate shot blocker. He just plugged and patched. He plugged and patched. Larry Nance will be better. I think statistically he was good, but I think he'll get better statistically. My biggest takeaway from tonight, the defense is going to take work. We knew that. I didn't expect it to get fixed overnight. It's Anthony Simons, because he is going to be huge for what that second unit is. So for me, and Ant, obviously he's our preseason game 1 player of the game. 20 minutes, 4 for 9, 2 of 4 from 3. 6 assists, and I am not a assist drives everything playmaker guy. I think it's a poor measure of playmaking, to be honest, but it's what we have to go by. If you want to talk about the play of the game for Ant, there's 2. Number 1 was his first shift when they started getting into a set, and Ant broke it off and went, no. And I believe it was Nance he told to go send the back screen for CJ. CJ decoyed the flare to the top and back cut. Ant picked it up off one hand and fired a one-handed missile. Probing passes. Those are playmaking passes. Anybody in the NBA can make side-to-side passes. And that is what the Blazers have been predicated on for years, because they don't have that many playmakers. They had 2 guys who could break down a defense in Dame and CJ, and both are poor passers on the run. So now you've got guys working off pin downs. You've got guys overplaying CJ McCollum, because at that point in time, CJ was starting to heat up. CJ, we haven't even talked about him yet. CJ looked good. He looked really good, and I thought he was in the flow of everything. Like, I can still get buckets. He looked like CJ at the start of last year before the injury. And he didn't force it. He didn't force the action. That's what I think was the most that's the most telling thing you can say about CJ McCollum, is what he just does his thing, and you're not like, CJ, stop pounding the air out of the ball, please. Thank you. But with Ant, there was that play where you saw the probing pass, and then I think I'm kind of torn between the second half play where he drove off the backspin. He shook and got to that mid-range pull-up.
because getting 2 feet into the paint, collapses the defense, and then rolls back to it, because that's a counter. That's advanced stuff. Or the side DHO with Nance, where he hit the pocket pass to Nance on the run, and then Nance threw the secondary bounce pass to Zeller. That's the kind of thing where, like, you can see not only where Ant's head's at, you can see where Nance's head's at. You're like, oh, okay, now I'm seeing where this second unit can really try to find some stuff, because they worked that same DHO earlier in the game, and it led to an Anthony Simons 3. So you're starting to see, I think, that second unit is going to be predicated on Anthony Simons, Larry Nance Jr. pick and roll DHO game.
I think that's why tonight was so vital, because they clearly, I think, have established some chemistry in camp.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you go out there and you're able to do it, like, this is the argument against me, right? On preseason doesn't matter. Well, that's where tonight does matter. It helps build that chemistry, that camaraderie, that kind of that. It's almost like a feeling. You know, you play with somebody that you play really well with. There's a
it's
feeling
that quarterback
attached
wide
to
receiver
that.
exchange. You know,
it really is.
Like, you just have that thing.
Yeah, it's an instinctual, I need to be here for him.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I set the screen like this,
I
know
need
how
to
he's gonna
delay
come
that
off
half
it.
second here. I need to pull the defender.
Yes.
And those are the little things you find. Dame and Nurk they've got that on lock. Dame and Mason Plumlee, they had that on lock. Dame and Robin Lopez. Like, you got to know where your screen partner is and how they exist. I think those are the things that really matter. And for Ant, again, talking about like what he did tonight, what I was really impressed with was he didn't settle for threes. His passing was probing and not on the periphery the entire time. And the other part of it was he was attacking. He was getting downhill. He was getting to spots. And he showed a passing versatility that in a game we have not seen from him ever. I'll flat out. I texted him after the game, ended immediately, said, that was the most passing versatility I've ever seen from you.
You text him right after the game?
Oh, I'll text so it's there for when he gets home.
Not even hitting the showers. Hey, great game.
I know. Just I do it probably honestly 5 times a year. That's honestly, because when something stands out to me, I'll say something to one of the guys.
Yeah.
And for him, it stood out. We saw the one-handed hook wrap pass. You saw the pocket pass. You saw the two-handed pass. You saw the one-handed bullet pass. He was doing things we have not seen him do before. And I think that was the big thing for me in that, okay, can he show that real growth? So
I think that was the thing that stuck out for me the most, was not only just the play, but just a comfort and like an almost at ease of the way the game has come to him now coming into year 4, and the ability to throw those passes. I don't think you're overstating it. I think it's going to be really vital if he shows that in the next few preseason games, gets, right for the regular season. That's a dynamic for this team that they haven't had. They haven't had that.
A playmaker off the bench has not
come
been
off the bench. No, they have not had.
Evan
that.
Turner is the only guy they have had outside of Nick Batum. That's it.
That was hot and cold. Like, you couldn't always.
E.T. was always the playmaker, but you couldn't rely on his scoring. That was the issue. And I think with Ant, you can rely on scoring. I'll tell you right now, if Ant averages 10 and 6 a night, I will take that. I will take the lesser scoring and the higher rated assist. Like 12 and 5 to me is that's a good year. If all of a sudden his playmaking goes from, I think he was like 1.2 or 1.4, if it goes from that to 4 or 5, that is a massive growth.
It should be noted, I just saw here from Richmond, Chauncey saying Norm is fine.
Yeah, it was precautionary. Let's go ahead and pull that one back. Yeah. We had another guy. I'm going to pull up the graphic that we rolled pregame. Nasir Little's expanded role. I love Nas. Nas was pressing, and it looked very much like Anthony Simons last year.
It was probably one of my biggest fears going into the game, was if Nas didn't have a good game, it was going to be because he was trying to have a good game too hard.
Pedal was down the whole time.
And I almost kind of feel bad for guys in that spot, because they know how pivotal it is. And when you don't have it, but you keep trying to have it, sometimes it almost ends up backfiring on you more. Yeah.
You could see he was pressing. Yeah. I think it was pretty evident. I got a few texts from guys who were there or watching. Nas is pressing.
He just, and I think he's capable of doing this in their next game. he needs to just not care. Like, he's got to go out there, just play basketball. Like, don't think about minutes. Don't think about contracts.
He thought about shots. He thought about what he should do instead of just playing.
Yes, just go out there and play basketball.
So, overall, I thought it was a pretty decent game from preseason expectations. I think some people are probably dialed it back. Some are a little disappointed. It's kind of funny.
Why do we have preseason expectations?
Well, here's the thing.
I just don't take anything away as a team from preseason stuff.
You and I have been doing this for a while. We kind of know that there's a reality versus expectation where, and this isn't like downplay fans, it's just you get excited. As a fan, you're not thinking about, the lines that make sense. You're just drawing state lines. Well, they got better, so therefore they should just be better right now. That's never how this stuff works unless you're adding superstar talent, and even then it takes a little bit of time to figure it out. The Heatles took a little time to figure it out. And this team isn't that team. Right. So just slow your roll a little bit, but the expectations, I think, because of the overwhelming positivity and how everything was thrown at the feet of Terry Stotts, well, Terry's gone, so everything must be fine now. And that's not going to be the reality.
I think that's, the one thing. I thought there were times last year, like specifically Nurk, CJ getting injured. It's like they weren't winning, and I'm seeing people on Twitter, Stotts sucks, Stotts is bum. And I'm like, okay, like he's not a perfect coach, but really, what are we expecting right now when two of your three best players are out? I'm taking the approach this year. I'm going 35, 40 games, almost half a season. Like, I'm not going to rush to judgment.
Oh, even like high-level stuff, I'm taking 20 games.
Sure, but like I don't want people to do this thing where preseason game 1 happens and it's like, the defense is going to be just as trash as it was last year. It's like, well, can we wait to see this when the games matter, when the guys are all playing like normal minutes and the rotations cut down a little bit?
And final score in the preseason never matters. You're just you're looking at those pockets.
I could see the reaction on the first half stuff of like, yikes, didn't get better. And I'm like, I didn't expect it to fully turn around in the first preseason game. Like, I really think we're going to go 20 to 30 plus games before we see a difference at all.
I keep clicking the wrong one and forgetting that I don't have my post-game lower third in here because I'm an idiot. Real quick, the back-end 14th roster spot guys. What did you think of Dennis Smith Jr., Marquise Chris?
They were out there.
See, listen, I actually like DSJ. I thought he got downhill and showed some things.
Did
nothing.
Nothing.
I'm fishing with that one, and I got nothing out of you.
He didn't. I mean, like, he was fine, but
okay. I know how I will get you. How about Greg Brown?
My man Greg Brown was looking good today.
Woo, doggy.
My man, hey. No, look, Greg had I was thankful. Ben shot it to me on Twitter and said, "Hey, here was the thing you were asking for the pregame," and it was Greg Brown getting that dunk. It was nice to see Greg get up. I thought Greg, for the minutes that he was given, he didn't play a whole lot, but I thought Greg was active. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see Greg just go out there and use your body. And
when he gets run, go nuts. Like, you've got fouls, you've got energy, you've got bounce. Use all three of those things and have fun.
Go out there and play with nothing to lose.
Yeah, and when we had him on the pod, I think that was kind of his thing that he really imparted on me. Was like, I want to fail, which means I'm going out there, I'm doing things, I'm making mistakes, but I'm making them at full speed, and I learn from them. And I think that you saw that for the limited time he got out there. Jeff Glover, glad to have Blazer basketball back. Love listening to you guys. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Danny, Greg shot the 3 and he clanked the back rim. And I thought in my head, as soon as he missed, I went, well, he did say he wanted to fail a little bit this year.
Yeah.
I'm like, not going to be shooting threes during the regular season if he plays at all. But you know what? Why not? It's preseason. Let it fly, big guy.
Real quick, speaking of let it fly, did you know that they combined for over 100 threes tonight?
It felt like 300 threes.
The Warriors took 69. Nice.
Yeah. Well, that's very nice.
Nice.
What did they have? 30 in the first quarter and a half?
They had 35? They had 35 with 4 minutes to go. I tweeted out, I'm like, they have 35. The Blazers ended with 38. I've never seen that before.
I love it because Steve walked in tonight and said, "I don't care about this game, guys. Just fire away. Let's see
Jordan
what
Poole
happens."
took 17 shots. 13 of them were threes.
If Jordan Poole is not shooting that many 3-pointers, Jordan Poole shouldn't be playing basketball.
He looked good. I'm just saying.
He did look good.
Overall, I know you're very anti preseason basketball, but taking what you saw from this game, we have a whole week for some reason with the stupid preseason schedule, whole week before the next game. What are you hoping happens between now and next Monday?
That's a good question. I want people to feel I'm looking for more natural things. Like comfort to me is important, right? And when you're bringing in new schemes, you're bringing in new ideas, new roles. I think we just need to see guys settle in more and more as this thing continues to roll into the regular season. Like you mentioned Nurk at the top, right? Nurk and everything that's been made of what Nurk will be this year, it wasn't flowing as naturally as maybe it can be. I want to see that flow a little better in the next game. I want to see Nas not feel like he's playing for a roster spot. Like I want him to just go out there and play. And I feel like he is capable of being so much better than what we saw tonight. And part of that's probably, hey man, it's my first game. The Moda Center wasn't packed, but there were a decent amount of
Let's not forget, Nas just got his contract picked up.
He just got his contract picked up. He dealt with COVID last year. Like
Tony Snell's down. He knows, like, hey, this is my chance, and he's still a kid.
Yes. I want to see Nas go out in the next game, and I just wanted to see look more natural for him.
Yeah.
Not much else other than that. Maybe rotate a little better. I like the communication that you pointed out that they had, the accountability part of like pointing to each other and talking to each other.
But that was after the fact. You want to see that maybe a little bit earlier in a possession.
Well, yeah, and I think part of that is natural progressions in defense.
Yeah.
Feeling like
Trust.
You're more in the right spot, trusting each other. Those are the things I'm kind of eyeing for a second preseason game.
Just little, and we're not asking for perfection. You're those building blocks, those steps that you want to kind of go through.
Yep.
I saw a lot of people come in through. We've had over 100 viewers in here throughout pretty much the entire show. Thank you guys so much. This is obviously the first post-game show, first pre-game show. We'll be doing this all season. There are going to be some nights because Brandon has to work dumb early in the morning at 1080 to the Fan from 6 to 9, where he's up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So he may not be here, but I will either have a guest, either a Blazers-centric media-type person, or I will be joined by a media person from another team, or I will fly solo.
And I've told Danny, look, I know we got a lot of great media members here in Portland, and having an opposing media member from another team is great. But I've told Danny, like, dude, you could talk for 2 hours without me, without
I've done 2-hour podcasts solo, so
that's because you're a psycho.
No, that's a complete sociopath. That's kind of how it goes. But what do you got coming up for the rest of the week here, Sprague?
We'll talk a little Blazers tomorrow. Just a smidge
just
on
a
the
smidge?
radio. Yeah, a smidge.
We're not going to mention my Raiders falling short.
We will, because here's the thing. I'm going to give you a hot take real quick in football. Real quick. I know it's Blazer Pod.
That's all right.
Justin Herbert's going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I saw you say that earlier, and I was like, oh.
I don't know what year that's going to happen.
Or what team it'll be for.
It's going to be the Chargers. Bolt up, baby.
Oh, you're a monster. Remember, folks, you can find Sprague on Twitter at Brandon Sprague on 1080 The Fan from 6 to 9 in the morning with his co-host, the lovely Dirk Johnson.
We have to get him on one of these one night.
Yeah, absolutely. Drag his ass out. I am 100% behind
He'll
that.
Be naked. He'll have his pepperoni tits out. Like, it's going to be wild.
Pepperoni Brothers for life. Listen, man, I love it. Thank you, everybody that's come through. I've already seen a bunch of subscriptions. I'm trying to keep things going crisp and keeping it a little bit short. I do have some more stuff coming as far as evening content. So there is a possibility that there is an additional post-game show that there may be an appearance for. And along those lines, I have also got Chad Doing to agree to a date coming up very soon where I'm going to basically kill myself with that tortilla chip from hell. So that'll be live, and you can all watch my misery up close and personal.
Hey, this is what you do. You sneak some X-Lax into Chad's coffee or something. You do the chip.
Listen, man, that guy drinks so much coffee. I don't think he needs that. That man's regular. But if you haven't already, please like, rate, and review for the podcast. We are available everywhere your podcasts are available: iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Megaphone, wherever you get them. If you're watching here on YouTube live or in the replay, click the little subscribe button. It's free. It costs you nothing, but it gets us money. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for everybody that does that. We do appreciate you. We love the
Yes.
comments. It's going to be a season of disagreement, maybe some bad takes, maybe some great takes, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. This thing could go completely sideways, and it's still going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So, again, thank you all so very much for making this what it has been already. And we will catch you guys on the next game. And actually, Brandon and I will have the live show, midweek live show with actual stuff to talk about coming up to you on